See, the fundamentals are still there. Emerging markets are growing at 3 times the rate of developed countries. Emerging markets have less debt by a wide margin in relationship to GDP, despite all the problems that China may have. And emerging markets have foreign reserves. The foreign reserves of emerging markets are way, way higher than the developed countries. So these fundamentals you got to keep in mind. Now, okay, the markets have not performed. Last year, emerging markets underperformed the developed countries. But now we're in a situation where institutional investors and other investors in the U.S. are overweight U.S. So they now have to diversify. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble. You know, you talk about risk. You've got to be diversified in order to escape the risk that may be inherent in the U.S. market.
Now, a lot of elections coming up this year in this region, but for emerging markets specifically, Thailand, Indonesia, all the rest, do you think that this is a precursor to more reform? Does this, or is this more uncertainty, in which case, either way, it leads to opportunities?
There's no question that what's happening in emerging markets generally, not only in those 3 countries, but generally there is a revolution taking place towards more plurality, more democracy, more openness, more transparency. You're seeing that in Indonesia, where the favorite now is the mayor of Jakarta, who's a reformer. In India, BJP reform is what they're talking about. Thailand, is it going to be a democracy where everyone has a vote, or is it going to be where the Bangkok people control everything?
It's really easy to talk about reform when you're on the hustings. When you get into power, you have all the trappings of power, and we know that that does not necessarily translate those words into action.
That's right, no question. But nowadays, the transparency is so great with the internet, with cell phones. We're seeing that around the world. It's more difficult for these leaders to get away with the corruption. You know, in South Africa, even at Mandela's funeral, they were booing the leader of the country.
That's Jacob Zuma.
I want to talk to you quickly about Vietnam. You say you can't get enough of Vietnamese equities, in particular because of foreign ownership limits. The banks have eased those restrictions for foreign ownership. Is that going to change the game there?
That's going to be a big change. The government recently announced, you know, that they're going to do away with, for some companies, not the strategic companies, they're going to allow more foreign ownership. That is going to be a game changer. It's not going to be immediate. It's going to take time. But we see Vietnam as really a great, great opportunity for frontier markets, and we'd like to do more and more